This guy was a poet, a dancer, and a great actor. He was everything except a gangster. I know you think he was a thug, but the reality is he was just a young guy with a big mouth.
What do you think you're most known for? Your acting, your music, or the controversy that surrounds you?
My big mouth.
Everyone saw him as a walking contradiction, a hypocritical guy going through a serious identity crisis.
That's so real.
And don't get me wrong, I know that when we talk about him as a rapper, we're talking about maybe the best to ever do it. His storytelling was flawless, his voice was unique, and his presence was that of a superstar. His songs impacted hundreds of millions around the world, and for years, countless artists have cited him as an inspiration for their careers.
Because I remember Pac, used to talk about me. He didn't know me, but he's talking about me. And people, right when I say that, insert clip here.
I'm not saying I'm gonna rule the world or I'm gonna change the world, but I guarantee that I will spark the brain that will change the world. And that's our job, is to spark somebody else watching us.
That inspiration needs to be taken out of the box of luxury and given to all people. If people are working from a place of inspiration and opportunity, the world would be better. People would be happier.
He even inspired rappers like Drake, another actor trying to act tough.
I would honestly say that, if there's anybody I wish I could be a little more like, it would probably be Pac. He just, aside from his music, which was absolutely incredible, I think he just drove people with who he was, the way he carried himself, how little he cared. I wish I could have a little more Pac to my persona.
He is a legend, but I'm not making this video to talk about his greatness as an artist. I'm making this video because for years, I believed he really was the thug he claimed to be, when in reality, this guy was just acting. And man, don't get mad at me for telling the truth about your hero.
A lot of people too, they like to feed into the fantasy that Tupac was a gangster.
And that clearly was not a street person. If it messes with your imagery and your hero, grow the f*** up.
He wasn't being himself, it was all one big lie. So I started asking myself, why did he choose this path? Was he bipolar? Did he want respect from gangs? Was he trying to sell more records? Sometimes I feel like maybe he thought that if he convinced everyone he was a tough guy, people would fear him and stay out of his way, and that would make him feel safer.
You're in touch with your feminine side?
I think so. I think so.
Contradictions were always present in Pac's life. To start, he was born on June 16, 1971, in New York. Yet, he always presented himself as the main representative of the West Coast. Some fans say it doesn't matter that he was born on the East Coast because he was raised on the West Coast, but that's not accurate. Before moving to California, he spent several years in Baltimore, and that's where his artistic awakening really began. Even though his first rapper name was literally MC New York, he chose not to label himself as an East Coast rapper. But those who were born there know his story, and they feel like Pac is one of them.
Believe it or not, he was born in the same hospital. He was born, if I'm not mistaken, he was born in St. Luke's, and I was born in St. Luke's. He lived on 116th Street in Morningside. I was born on 116th in Morningside.
Nice.
My brother died on 116th in Morningside. Wow. He lived on 182nd and Bathgate Avenue. That's where I moved when I moved to the Bronx.
What?
So after he moved from the Bronx, after he moved from Harlem, he moved to the Bronx. Then I believe he went to like Baltimore or like DC, and that's when he went to school with like Jada Pickett and stuff.
And then you moved to Baltimore.
Nah, I ain't get to
You're
do
with
that.
Will Smith.
I ain't get to do that. I wish.
Little Tupi, as his mother used to call him, was a poor kid who went through a lot of hardship. He wasn't just struggling at home, he was struggling in the streets too. It felt like there was no place in the world for a sensitive kid like him. His mother loved him, but she was a mess. Because of her past as a Black Panther, the FBI had her under surveillance. In fact, so they wouldn't know he was her son, his birth certificate listed him under the name Lassane Parish Crooks. They gave him an alias to avoid being recognized as a Black Panther's child. All this harassment from the FBI was the reason she felt like she couldn't hold down a job. The lack of money put her under constant stress, and because of that, she coped by sedating herself with illegal substances.
We moved out of New York because because of my mother's choices. She couldn't keep her job because of her choices. It was like they figured out who she was and she couldn't keep a job. That should be illegal.
All of these circumstances made Pac develop severe anxiety, dealing with paranoia from a very early age. Years later, weed would only intensify those issues, but he chose to keep smoking because it was the only thing that kept the bad thoughts away. In fact, in the songs Lord Knows and Only Fear of Death, he explains it very explicitly. I smoke a blunt to take the pain out. If I wasn't high, I'd probably try to my brains out. I'm hopeless. They should have killed me as a baby. And now they got me trapped in the storm. I'm going crazy. Show me a miracle. I'm hopeless. I'm choking off marijuana smoke. With every toke, it's like I'm losing focus. Forever paranoid and nervous because I'm high.
Went to Baltimore, he went to California. He moved around New York several times.
Why did they move so often?
Well, she was on crack. She was on drugs. She did drugs at the time. And one time he was living in shelters. So Pac really had a bad life.
This man is Billy Garland, Pac's biological father, the man who wasn't there to take care of him when he needed him the most. She lied to her son many times about his father. First, she said she didn't know who he was. Then, she told him his biological father was William Legs Wilson. And later, when Pac met Billy in 1994, she finally told him the truth, that he was his real father, and that they had met when they were both part of the Black Panther Party. Some say he simply chose not to be part of Pac's life, while others say she did everything she could to keep him away. We can speculate about what really happened, but at the end of the day, the truth is something only they knew.
I had heard all the stories about Tupac's Uncle Tom and his stepfather Matulu, but I had never heard the name Billy Garland mentioned. I had heard all the when Tupac was a baby stories, and Billy Garland's name had never come up.
The sad part is that Pac didn't just grow up in poverty, he also grew up with a deeply troubled mother and without a father to guide him.
I had to go through all that street, war, everything, the same drugs that everybody else get turned out on. Where I would have been stopped shorted, I made it past. But because I made it past, I missed some lessons. And you can see the lessons that I missed when you talk to me. You can see where I haven't had a father when you talk to me. You know what I'm saying?
Even though he was surrounded by very dangerous people, he wasn't interested in street life. He wasn't one of those kids who wanted to become a gangster to make money and get women. He was a peaceful kid who wanted to build a better future for himself. I mean, one of his dreams was to go to college.
How would you describe what it was like growing up?
I was the total opposite of what I am right now. I was quiet, I read a lot, I wrote poetry.
Did it ever occur to you that you might be able to get scholarships to go to college, or was that just not even an issue?
I always wanted to go to college, but I wanted to go to college and be comfortable. Like, I know a lot of people that are in college, they have somewhere to live, somebody can pay their tuition and all of that. I don't have that. Until I can have that, I can't go to college, even though I want to, because that turned me on.
Pac wasn't a real gangster.
Right.
And what I mean by that is Pac wasn't what people perceive him as.
Right.
Like he's some callous thug. Pac was a real person.
Oh, yeah.
Part thug,
right?
But he was an artist. He could have been a leader. Like he could have been like a Malcolm X or like a Martin Luther King. He was smart as hell.
He was
Yeah,
man.
Yes.
In 1984, they moved to Baltimore, and in 1986, Pac began studying at the Baltimore School for the Arts. On his first day, several of his classmates made fun of his name, but he stood up for himself, saying he was proud of the name his mother had given him.
Tupac Shakur, that's unusual. Is there a meaning behind that?
Yeah, terminal become an obstacle. It's a character builder. If you have a name that no one else has, you have to repeat it twice. You gotta say it with extra feeling the second time. It builds character. So you know, that's what my mother gave it to me.
He was a sensitive kid with a very strong personality. That's where he learned how to act. When Pac delivered his lines, everyone was locked in on him. It was like he was always surrounded by a powerful aura. The man who would later call himself a thug, back then, he wasn't just acting, he was also dancing ballet. Listen, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but let's be honest. No real gangster spends his teenage years doing ballet and reciting Shakespeare. Pac was an artist, a peaceful man who had been writing poems since he was 11, ending them with the phrase, "future freedom fighter." He was also very open about his musical taste. While he loved rap, he also listened to Sinead O'Connor and bands like U2.
It seemed like the two sides of Tupac were constantly battling with each other. One minute you're spitting at TV cameras, the next you're talking about Shakespeare. Have you reconciled those two?
Hopefully. I like to think so.
In Baltimore, he met Jada Pinkett Smith, someone he had a lot in common with and cared deeply about, but only as a friend, just like her relationship with Will Smith, you know?
You were very close with Tupac Shakur.
Yes.
And Tupac Shakur wasn't the gangsta that we all think he was, right?
He was a revolutionary without a revolution, if that makes any kind of sense.
And don't you believe at that time he was in love with you because he would write poetry about you?
You know, I think, when you have two young people who have very strong feelings, but there's no physical chemistry between us at all. There was a time when I was like, just kiss me. Let's just see how this goes. And when I tell you it had to be the most disgusting kiss for us both.
I'm looking at this picture right here of Tupac on the shirt right there, and Tupac asked to marry my mom.
Yeah.
And she was like, we're Pac, like we're best friends.
Right.
Like,
Well, they say marry your best friend, but I'm glad they didn't.
yeah.
He's like, so am I.
Yeah.
Were you ever jealous of the love Jada had for Tupac?
Yeah.
I know you're gonna say
my
no.
God. I just didn't. I couldn't handle it. You know, I was the soft rapper from Philly, and he was Pac.
Right.
He felt truly free in that art school environment. That's where he could truly be himself. But once again, everything changed overnight, and just like that, by his mother's decision, he moved to California in 1988.
When I came to California, I was broke, nowhere to stay.
What do you mean nowhere to stay?
I didn't have anywhere to stay. I was staying with a friend of a friend of a friend of my mother. She was in Baltimore, and we didn't have any lights and electricity. We was about to get evicted, so she sent me first. You know how mothers do. Protect the young.
That's where Pac, at 17 years old, started trying to make a living. But he only managed to get a couple of jobs, and he didn't last long at either. He wasn't exactly the most disciplined guy, at least not when it came to things he wasn't passionate about.
I only had 2 jobs ever in my life. One was in Round Table Pizza. That job, I lasted about a month. Then I worked as the guy that packs your bags in the supermarket for about 2 weeks. Then the dude kept catching me writing raps by the time clock. I used to be like, you know, I'm gonna write for
Instead
an hour,
of loading
work for hours.
people's groceries.
Can you imagine going out to grab some pizza and Pac is the one serving you from behind the counter? That's who he was. He wasn't the kind of guy you'd find in the darkest corners of the hood. In fact, around that time, he tried to sell illegal substances, but he was too naive and easy to take advantage of. Eventually, the person supplying him cut him off because he was losing money because of him. The crazy thing is, Pac himself is the one who tells these stories. Almost like he wanted people to know that the whole thug life image was just to sell more albums.
I think I tried selling drugs for maybe 2 weeks. Then the dude was like, oh man, give me my drugs back. Cause I didn't know how to do it. I sell, somebody didn't pay me back. I'd be like, oh, it's okay. I'd just be like, it's okay, you don't have to pay me back. So dude's like, no more for you.
This is one of many examples that suggest he wasn't always truthful in his lyrics. For example, in Dear Mama, when he says, I needed money of my own, so I started slanging, I ain't guilty. Cause even though I sell rocks, it feels good putting money in your mailbox.
Stop the cap. Stop the cap right now. Stop the cap.
You didn't sell any rocks? Why lie like that? I mean, you yourself said you only sold illegal substances for 2 weeks, and you did it so badly that the person supplying you asked for them back. Anyway, at this point, Pac couldn't hold down a regular job, and he didn't really fit into the streets either. So school became his refuge, his escape. Even though he didn't graduate, he was able to pass a series of tests and earn a GED, which is basically a high school equivalency certificate accepted by nearly all US colleges and employers. Around this time, he attended the writing workshops of Layla Steinberg. There, Pac not only developed his skills as a poet, but also had the opportunity to connect with people from the music industry.
I met up with one person hooked me up with another person, this lady named Layla, introduced me to H.M. Gregory, who was managing Digital Underground. You just rap for Shock G on the spot. If he like you, then I'll pick you up.
What was your first interaction with Shock G? Was he totally impressed?
Yeah, I just walked in and rapped for him. He's like, okay, good, you're in. Boom, 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 I'll see you later.
Before releasing his first song with the group, the so-called legendary Gangster was just a backup dancer, a roadie. The man who would later be seen as tough and feared in the rap world was just a young guy dancing in animal print briefs for a bizarre hip-hop group. I know a lot of people already know these stories, but I also know that millions around the world only know his constructed image as a dangerous man. And with this video, what I want is to reveal the truth. Because there's nothing more embarrassing for an artist's legacy than being remembered for something he definitely wasn't.
It seems to me that you are trying to distance yourself from a thug life mentality.
I'm just trying to show who I am. That people locked up on one part of me that they really did not understand. So now I'm trying to do 2 things. 1, help them understand the part of me that they didn't understand. And 2 is to show that, you know, this is the type of things that young black males can do. We can do anything if you just give us a shot. Stop trying to beat us down.
Before joining the group, Pac used to rap under the name MC New York. And even though his first role with them was as a backup dancer, his talent was impossible to ignore. Every time he grabbed the mic, he impressed Shock G. That's why he changed his name to Tupac and made his official debut as a rapper on Digital Underground's single Same Song.
Same song.
What was that?
Same song. I was starving, living in Marin. Shock was like, come on the road. You could be my roadie, you know what I'm saying? I said, cool. Got off the road, he said, well, I'm gonna pay you this, and I'm gonna let you do same song. I did same song. Ever since then, it's been on.
By the end of that same year, he released his first solo album, Tupacalypse Now. This was the moment a legend was born, but it was also the exact moment when a wave of chaos began to shake his entire world. Remember, he was just a 20-year-old confused young man.
Tupac. You ran into Tupac when he was with Digital Underground?
Yeah. See, I was already in the streets. I see who now Tupac. I didn't know that was him.
You didn't know that was him, right?
I didn't know that was him. He dancer, you know.
With Digital Underground.
With Digital Underground. But it wasn't that thug persona. I didn't see him like everybody else saw him. Even when I was locked up, I used to be like, man, that kid wasn't no thug like that.
One of the many things people started saying after Pac's death is that he wasn't only interested in women. This idea comes from the way he carried himself physically, which some people found a bit questionable.
Let me do it, but they didn't. And then I had a cold, so they were making me work in a freezer. And I'm really not one to be disrespected, and I felt like that was disrespectful because I asked to go, you know.
I'm just saying it's a lot of hand movement for an eventual thug life gangster, okay?
The 17-year-old Tupac, that's who he was.
Yeah.
He was this innocent, like when you really look at that interview, he was a very soft person. That's who he was.
He just had ways because he was raised by his auntie. He had a sister in his house and his mother and all of that, y'all. And so a lot of young men, they tend to take on the type of mannerism that they're around.
Pac was a man. Like I lived in the same house. It was nothing fruity about Pac.
I mean, he had certain mannerisms that made people question his personality. He was genuinely a very complex and unusual person. But it's not hard to understand why his younger self sometimes came across as more soft or expressive. He was a sensitive theater kid raised by a single mother. When a young boy grows up without a father figure, he often picks up certain mannerisms from his mother.
Keep up the roughhousing, son. Without a strong male presence in the house, you could turn sissy overnight. Oh, these stubborn grass stains.
I think being raised by a woman had a lot to do with his poor emotional control during his years of fame. Pac needed a father figure who could teach him how to be more cold-headed. He wasn't a centered man who could stay calm. He was an extremely emotional person. And in many situations, he let his feelings take control of him and ended up making a lot of mistakes. In fact, one of those mistakes eventually cost him his life. Pac had a beautiful relationship with his mother, but at the same time, certain dynamics in that relationship were a little unusual for a grown man. They used to tell each other absolutely everything. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with having good communication with your mother, but bro, why are you telling her details about your dates with women? That's pretty weird.
He called me up in the middle of the night after he done had a hot date and tell me who he had a hot date with, what he did, and how excited. And I said, Tupac, why do you think I missed that?
My mother's totally I was scared at first, but I just brought it up one day and we spent hours talking about drugs, sex, and society, and 60s and 70s and 30s and everything. We just get along really good.
One very positive thing about his relationship with his mother is how much he learned about women and the struggles they go through every single day. Because of that understanding, he was able to create Brenda's Got a Baby, a masterpiece in rap history, and Keep Ya Head Up, one of his first major hits. Sadly, being the nice guy often caused women to see him as just a friend. After Pac's death, Shock G tried to push the narrative that women loved him even before he became famous, but that was a huge lie.
He's not even known. He's not a celebrity yet. We haven't even done the show yet. Pac was pulling him. Girls loved Pac from day one. If we had a contest, Pac had the numbers.
Bro, there's absolutely no reason to be lying like that.
I don't understand how people could stand next to you 1 year and next year they cannot stand there. They just going crazy screaming. But just last year I was in the same club walking around lonely like a mother. You know what I'm saying? Couldn't get a date. Couldn't get nobody to dance with me. I was too skinny, too something. And now he's just adorable.
To be honest, this guy was genuinely handsome, but being too nice made women see him as kind of boring.
I was liking this girl in Tam, and I'm extra nice, you know, extra gentleman. I'm extra just like, oh, you're beautiful and you deserve the best. And she told me I was too nice. It wouldn't work because I was too nice. I couldn't believe it. That was the ultimate stab in the back.
Now, once Pac became famous, he suddenly became desired by thousands of women. He even dated Madonna. They were together until she started seeing the man behind the character and began making excuses to end the relationship. One of the moments that made her realize Pac didn't really have what it takes to be Madonna's boyfriend was when he didn't go through with having a party with her and one of her friends.
She had invited him to come to New York. Now, when he gets back, he tells me what happened. And he says she gets to Madonna's house and there's another lady there. He describes her to me and I knew immediately who he was talking about. Wherever paparazzi was following her, there was this girl that was always with Madonna that had a short, dark haircut. She was very pretty, nice built, you know. And Madonna was sitting on this side of him and the other girl was sitting on this side. And it blew his mind, man. Wow. You know what I'm saying? Like, he couldn't go through with it. He told me I had to get out of there, man, because, you know, I didn't know what to do.
Right.
He was intimidated. I would never forget. When he got back, he told me the story, and he was like, man, I don't know what to do with her. Because she likes me, and I like her, but she's just too much for me. She was, like, on another level.
In fact, in part of the letter he wrote to her while he was in prison, he even apologized for it. Please understand my previous position as that of a young man with limited experience with an extremely famous sex symbol who also happens to be known to every man, woman, and child in the world. I don't know how you feel about visiting me, but if you could find it in your heart, I would love to speak face to face with you. It's funny, but this experience has taught me to not take time for granted. Aww. Yep, Pac was a sweetheart, and sadly a lot of women aren't attracted to that. The same thing happened with Janet Jackson during the filming of Poetic Justice in 1993.
You want to smell my punani?
Yeah.
Yeah, that brother's starving.
They formed a beautiful friendship, but once Janet realized that Pac was putting her on a pedestal and wanted to be more than just friends, she decided to ghost him. Women can be so cruel sometimes.
You know, you got on very well while you were making the movie, but then afterwards she changed her number. Is that true?
Yeah, bothered me. I mean, it was so, I really thought I made a friend. I thought it was, I know Janet Jackson for life, you know? So the movie was always like, boo, this number has been changed. The day after the movie wrapped, I did like, this number has been changed. I said, oh, okay. So it was an act. Nah, but I think that's just, you know, whatever.
It's understandable why Pac started playing the role of a gangster. That way he stopped suffering over women and suddenly became attractive to all of them. I mean, we can criticize his methods, but not the results. Even many years after his death, there are still women who sigh when they remember him.
In the book, there's a story of Tupac Shakur. Yeah, you saw driving in with the Rolls Royce and he says, hey Mariah, and then that whole night you were like, oh my gosh, I feel like butterflies.
Yes, more than butterflies.
And then that whole night it was like Mariah was like, oh my gosh, he said hi to me, but you're Mariah Carey.
Well, he said it like, hi Mariah. And I was like,
that would have been the power couple of all power couples. I'm telling you, Mariah, like no one.
I wish. Oh my God.
The people who say Pac was gay are completely wrong. He wasn't gay, and besides, people need to stop talking about it like it would be something bad. There's absolutely nothing wrong with being gay.
Everybody in hip hop discriminates against gay people. I wanted to just come on TV and just tell my rappers, just tell my friends, like, yo, stop it, fam. That's really discrimination. To me, that's exactly what they used to do to black people. I'm just trying to tell people, just stop all that.
When it comes to his contradictions, many of his fans justify his behavior by saying Pac had many sides to him. He was a poet, an actor, a rapper, and also a gangster. Man, let me tell you something. When you're everything, you eventually become nothing. We all contradict ourselves sometimes, but when you do it constantly the way he did, you start looking like a walking joke.
Guys speak to women with this much respect. They call girls the B word, you know?
A few moments later.
Bitches ain't shit. We don't love them hoes, and it's like that. It's just like that.
Okay.
If you listen to a Tupac record, you might hear Tupac contradict himself a lot. He might have anti-violence lyrics in one song to say, keep your head up, and talk about sticking up for women. And then in the next song, he might be saying, bitch, ho, you know what I mean?
Sometimes when you're listening to a Pac song, you want to take it seriously and enjoy it. But then you remember that in the next song, he says the complete opposite, and you end up looking for another artist, someone who actually feels real. Like 50 Cent, who has a song called Gangster, dedicated to men pretending to be something they're not.
When I write a book, I'm writing with a writer. In Tupac's case, like in spare time, the guy is actually writing his own book. Himself would, like Prodigy would write his page by page, write the book. And I'm looking going, I ain't doing that, I ain't got time to do that. Prodigy and Tupac were very similar. They really art students that took on the theme thugging. It seems...
Yeah, he wasn't just some guy who stumbled in off the street, started recording music.
Right.
He had been writing and he was in art.
Prodigy himself knew that Pac had a habit of twisting the truth, one of the biggest examples being the shooting at Manhattan's Quad Recording Studios. Deep down, Pac knew that the notorious B.I.G. had nothing to do with it, but he still turned it into a public beef because controversy brought him attention, and attention sold records.
I had a connection with Pac that me and Pac didn't even know we were connected already. We had friends in common in Queens, you know what I mean? They started telling me a story about how, you know, Pac knew that it had nothing to do with Biggie, you know what I'm saying? And he was just trying to create controversy to sell records, you know what I'm saying? Like, he knew how to create that controversy to make it bigger in the media and all of that type of shit, so.
The more you dig into this man's life, the more disturbing things you find. The guy who preached about respecting women didn't even respect his own wife, whom he married while he was in prison. He would ask her to bring women to visit him behind bars.
Pac was just, he was cold, bro. He was just like that. Because he used to make a call other girls on a three-way. And I used to be like, man, huh? That's your wife and you like call this person and that person? I'm like, Pac cold-hearted. So you never know. Like, and she might know that he wasn't the type of person that probably was ready to settle down back then, you know?
Yo, that's wild, man.
Pac was a classic people pleaser. A people pleaser is someone who has a compulsive need to please others, often putting their own needs, desires, and boundaries aside to gain approval, avoid conflict, or prevent rejection. He wanted approval from both the thugs and the journalists in suits and ties, so he gave everything a double meaning. Whenever interviewers asked him, why do you use the N-word so much? He would claim it actually stood for something deeper. Never ignorant, getting goals accomplished. He also said that to him, a thug was simply a tough and resilient man. Yet he tattooed Thug Life across his stomach with an actual bullet replacing one of the letters. He did the same thing with MOB. First, he claimed it meant money, organization, and business, then later switched it to money over bitches. But both explanations were really just distractions meant to keep the media from focusing on his ties to the East Side mob Pyru Bloods.
Niggas try to play that gangster shit, but we MOB for motherfucking real.
I hate when them New York niggas be throwing up gang signs. I seen Biggie throwing up this. Biggie don't know nothing about no gang signs. Why that nigga keep throwing up gang signs?
All of this reminds me of Young Thug's lawyer claiming that the thug in his rapper name stands for truly humble under God.
Now some of you read books about Tupac and what it meant to be thug life. Thug life, the hate you give little infants, F's, everyone.
The hate you gave little infants, UCK, everybody.
Meaning discrimination and racism hurts all of us. But to Jeffrey, thug had a different meaning. He would be truly humble under God. That's what thug means.
Seriously, bro? Do you really think the judge is going to believe you?
Webster defines thug as a brutal or violent criminal, right? His lawyer had a different definition. His lawyer stood in front of the judge and said, Your Honor, thug simply means truly humble under God. Honestly, bars, all right?
It amazes me how someone can spend so many years being so many different people at the same time. In Changes, he talks about bringing the community together and stopping the violence between each other. I got love for my brother, but we can never go nowhere unless we share with each other. We gotta start making changes. Learn to see me as a brother instead of two distant strangers. Then, in Hit 'Em Up, he mocks Prodigy's illness. This is so unnecessarily aggressive that I don't even feel like reading it. Keep in mind that Prodigy battled sickle cell anemia for years, a disease that eventually took his life at just 42 years old. In the song Changes, he also says, "We gotta make a change. It's time for us as a people to start making some changes. Let's change the way we eat, let's change the way we live, and let's change the way we treat each other." Beautiful message, right? Well, it seems like Pac didn't even listen to himself, because all he really ended up doing was feeding the same toxic stereotype that has caused so much damage to his own community.
I'm not finna act white just because y'all want me to act white, just because all these other motherfuckers act white when they get their papers. I'ma act very black. I'ma buy a Benz because that's what niggas do. Right. You understand me? I'ma smoke weed because that's what niggas do. You understand me? I'ma get drunk because that's what niggas do. You understand me? I'm not gonna change just because motherfuckers got money.
Kanye West has said many things that a lot of us disagree with, but there's one interview where he perfectly explains the problem with hood mentality. Pac really could have benefited from hearing that.
I have turned my back on the idea of victimization mentality. We went from 1 of 4 to 1 of 3, but we always pointing at the white people, but yet we want to spend all of our money on foreigns. We want to spend all our money on luxury as opposed to going and buying some land. But the culture has you focused so much on fucking somebody and pulling up in a foreign and rapping about things that could get you locked up. Like, bro, we brainwashed out here, bro. Come on, man, this is a free man talking.
If you think about it, the worst decision Pac ever made was fully committing to the gangster character by associating himself with the mob Pyru in his 20s.
He started gangbanging in his mid-20s. Pac's from the Bay Area. All of a sudden, he claiming mob Pyru. And he's actively gangbanging on people. Like, what's up, blood? Well, I'm just banging this mob, and that tripped me out. Because that's usually the time when if they're going to get out of gangbanging, that's when they try to get out of it around that time. It was weird for me to talk to Pac after that because he was it was like I was talking to two different people. In a 2-year span, he went from here to here. And then I don't know.
It's strange that he chose to go down that path, considering that just a few months earlier, in October of 1995, he had talked about how being shot 5 times in the lobby of Quad recording studios in Manhattan had made him reflect on the lifestyle he was living. When you do rap albums, you gotta train yourself. You gotta constantly be in character. You used to see rappers talking all that hard stuff, and then you see them in suits at the American Music Awards. I didn't want to be that type of guy. I wanted to keep it real. And that's what I thought I was doing. But now that lifestyle is dead, that whole thug life thing, I did it. I put in my work, I laid it down, but now all of that is dead. This thug life stuff, it was just ignorance. My intentions was always in the right place. I never killed anybody, I never committed no crimes that weren't honorable, that weren't to defend myself. So that's what I'm going to show them. I'm going to show people my true intentions and my true heart. I'm going to show them the man that my mother raised. I'm going to make them all proud. Let me say for the record, I am not a gangster and never have been. I'm not the thief who grabs your purse. I'm not the guy who jacks your car. I'm not down with people who steal and hurt others. I'm just a brother who fights back. I'm not some violent closet psycho. I've got a job. I'm an artist. His obsession with this dangerous guy persona really started after playing Bishop in the 1992 film Juice.
Like, Biggie was looking at this guy who he used to hang out with, that he was close friends with and everything else like that. And he's like, I'm not seeing Tupac, I'm seeing Bishop.
Thank you. I said it a long time ago when people tried to attack me. He was a very soft person. That's who he was. 2 years later, he plays Bishop. And that character that he created with Bishop influenced millions of people, and he stayed in that character.
Tell us about your character in this movie, because I know you're the villain.
Yo, I play me. Straight ruthless villain, straight killer, straight take notes, scissors. You know what I'm saying? Straight popping partners.
Go ahead.
You know what I'm saying?
When you're a young kid, that impressionable, and you get all of this accolades for being that character, even gangsters, look up to you and give you that's a fantasy for a young kid like that. There'll be times where, Tupac and I, we would do goofy like challenge each other with multiplication rock. That was on Schoolhouse Rock, and like he would be like just a different kind of dude, right? But then like we would be playing, and all of a sudden he'd go back into, yeah, nigga, I'm a good, and I'm like, somebody black must have walked into the room. Yep, there it is. Yep. It was kind of like he would turn that on and off. This dude was a natural actor.
Tupac played himself, homie.
We saw him go from East Coast to West Coast. We saw him go from backup dancer to, you think y'all the mob, we the motherfucking mob. So, man, as smart as he was, homie, he was a follower. We was following a follower who was called a lead. You see what I'm saying?
You know, he's not a gangster. He's not a tough guy. He's an artist. He's a talent.
What he used to tell me, man, he would be like, I want to do the kind of music y'all do.
Got it.
But he was under Shock G, who, was like, yo, that ain't really the route. That's NWA and Ice-T and King T. That's their lane. You know what I mean? Let's stick with the more party, upbeat. But when he was able to get a solo deal, that's when he started doing the music that he wanted to do. And that's when he started to change and go into, the Pac we know.
And I'm gonna tell you, man, honestly, it's a sight to see Dr. Dre in the studio. I'm gonna tell you this for the world. When I was in the booth, he's like, are you ready? Do your vocals. I had to stop and go, Dre, you do not know how long I waited to get in this booth. And I have Dre out there going, you ready? Are you ready? You know what I mean? Yeah. I waited all my life for that, since straight out of Compton. You know what I mean? To have that man to look at me and go, okay, I like that one. We're gonna keep that.
Tragically, that lifestyle would eventually lead Pac to his downfall in Las Vegas after a Mike Tyson fight. That night, he chose to attack and kick Orlando Anderson, also known as Baby Lane, alongside the men he was with. Anderson was a real gangster and a member of the South Side Compton Crips. That incident is widely considered the trigger for the fatal shooting that happened later that same night. Everyone knew he never should have done that. A real gangster was never gonna let a rapper humiliate him like that. People living that kind of lifestyle are trapped in a cycle of stupidity, toxicity, and violence. Revenge is part of the culture.
So too, Baby Lane was a gangster, bro. You gotta understand, bro. Like
he was.
This would have happened to anybody. Tupac would have stumped out that night. When you are, I said this earlier, when you are a real street dude, a rapper can't do that. Like, ain't no rapper finna jump on no fucking gangster.
Right. And what I didn't realize,
I don't give a damn.
I was not a fan of Pac hanging around LA gangbangers. Everybody kind of knew Pac was pushing the line.
Yeah.
To a gangbanger that's really gangbanging, it's like an insult to them. Like, it's like, you're a rapper and you're stepping in our area. Mm-hmm. Like I tell people, I'm angry with Pac. I mean, I miss Pac and I love Pac. When I'm saying I'm angry, I'm just mad. Have you ever been mad somebody died?
Yes, absolutely.
I'm not finna hang with you and fight people and do all that other dumb shit you doing because you think you this cat or you want to be from the hood. You ain't from the hood, and that's the only beef I had with Tupac. You ain't the homie. You not from Compton. You ain't killed nobody in this mother. You ain't gangbanged on another hood.
I don't hate Tupac. I never had nothing against him, but the gangbanging from the hood and touching Orlando, he shouldn't have never did that. It was people from Compton there, which the homeboys or whatever, that knew who Orlando was. And if they wanted to take off on him, that's what they should have did, not Tupac.
This man created an image at around 19. If you're not authentic, you're not who you are, you're gonna pay for it. If you're not living truthfully, you gotta hold up this lie. And I believe that's the lie that took him out of here. Because I gotta behave like a gangster. And he does stuff that he feels a gangster would do, which every gangster that has been interviewed said, I wouldn't have done that shit. I wouldn't have jumped on Orlando Anderson. No, I knew he was here. But he goes and does that because he's in character, and what happens.
It's sad to think about everything Pac could have accomplished if he were still here. We're talking about an intelligent, passionate man who genuinely wanted to change the world. A man who could have easily won an Oscar. A man who could have kept releasing classic after classic. He probably could have even become governor of California if he wanted to. But unfortunately, he chose the wrong path and paid the price for it. May he rest in peace.